Justin Fields' draft stock has seemingly been falling, and everyone keeps trying to find every reason to knock his skill set, and it low-key kinda seems unfair. Today we got a bomb drop though, as it turns out Justin Fields has been battling a neurological disorder, and this makes me wonder if teams knew this before the public did, and if that's one of the reasons why they keep knocking his game. So yeah, I want to talk about what is going on with Justin Fields, what this means for his football career, and overall I just really want to address his draft stock and the reasons why people keep saying he's not going to make it in the NFL, and we're just going to talk about that. But first, if you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed already, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, as I'm going to be making a ton of college football and football content this summer, and you're definitely not going to want to miss out. Please be sure to let me know your thoughts and hit that like button, as it'll help the video get in the algorithm so more people can see it, and I can continue to make you guys more videos. Suggest what topic, player, coach, or video I could do next, and be sure to turn on post notifications so you never miss when I upload, because I do upload a lot. Now let's get started and talk about Justin Fields. Let's first start out with the bomb that was dropped this morning. This afternoon, NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reported that Fields had been upfront with NFL teams about his medical condition, which can cause seizures. Fields' epilepsy has not prevented him from starring at high school and the college levels and putting himself in position to hear his name called next Thursday, though. Additionally, Fields has been taking medication for the disorder, and it has not affected his play on the field. There is hope that he will outgrow the illness like some of his family members have, and if he hasn't already. Quote, the prognosis from the doctors is that Fields should be in the same situation. Fields' symptoms have been shorter and less frequent over the past few years. Fields would not be the first NFL player to deal with epilepsy, as it turns out, as longtime Pittsburgh Steelers offensive guard Alan Faneca managed a disorder throughout his Hall of Fame career. Tiki Barber also battled it as well. Former Tennessee Titans safety Samari Rolle suffered 3 seizures that kept him out of 6 games before doctors corrected his medication, so seemingly after he took the meds, he was fine. Epilepsy is obviously a scary thing, and the thought of a football player having a seizure on the field is something no one wants to think, see, or even imagine happening, and definitely not the team's star quarterback. It seems that he has all of it under control, but what if something does go wrong? This alone won't affect his draft stock much, but this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back for his stock. People keep finding reasons not to draft him, and sadly, I wonder if GMs and scouts will use this as an excuse and say it's the icing on the cake on why they don't want him as their franchise quarterback. If he does have it under control, it should not be that big of a deal, and the odds are seemingly low. But I would like to know if this has ever happened on the football field, and what can trigger this to happen. I did some research, and this is apparently what can trigger seizures. A lack of medication, a lack of sleep, high amounts of stress, alcohol, and even just being sick with the flu or cold can be enough for someone with epilepsy to have a seizure. All these things can be a major factor for a franchise NFL quarterback, as medication is commonly being thrown around, and if you miss that, that's not a good idea. Sleep is very important, and a lack of it can definitely happen. There are high amounts of stress in the NFL, alcohol is rampant in the NFL, and being sick is common amongst all of us, so I do wonder what will happen and how people will take away from this. To be fair though, Ohio State is as big of a stage as you can get in college football, and all these factors likely affected him while he was there to begin with. So, in my opinion, I don't think this will be a major flaw for him in the NFL, but it will add to teams being afraid of drafting him. His stock has begun to fall as of late, and his trainer is honestly confused. He said, quote, I'm confused at some level of what is the criteria needed in order for guys to move up in this draft. Because if it's big, strong, fast, throws well, and makes good decisions, those are the things we were told that were important for understanding if someone's a good prospect or not. Obviously, Justin checks all those boxes, so I'm missing it. He had a solid first pro day, and 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan was there for it, as they have the number 3 pick, but he will actually suit up and actually do a second pro day. He said, quote, teams have reached out and said it'd be great if they could see certain things in the second pro day, so he's adding those in, but for the most part, he's going to be throwing throws that he's comfortable with, that he's practiced. This seems to confuse a lot of scouts why his stock is falling, and one scout had this to say, quote, Fields' film is as good as just about any other player in the 2021 class. At 6'3" and 227 pounds, his ability to survive contact and deliver accurate layered throws made him one of college football's best pocket passers. Across 2 seasons, he played in 22 games as a starter and completed 68.4% of his passes for 5,373 yards, 63 touchdowns, and 9 picks, while finishing 3rd in the Heisman Trophy voting in 2019 and 7th in 2020. A huge knock on his game is that he's not good at reads, and Fields responded to that narrative. He said, quote, to be honest, we have some of the best receivers in the country, so if my first and second read is there, I'm not going to pass that up, just to get a 3rd or 4th or 5th read to prove that I can read. He is correct in the fact that Ohio State has some insanely talented playmakers, but it is a fair critique of his game, as scouts don't make up excuses, and they judge based on film, not their own personal hunch. So yeah, maybe Fields would be fine throwing to the 4th or 5th guy, but right now, all they do is see him throwing to the 1st and 2nd one, and they're going to label that as a critique. He was also asked to memorize a playbook back at the Elite 11 camp in 2017, and something interesting happened there. They said, quote, Justin was the only guy of 24 quarterbacks who was not able to memorize it, but he was able to have the mental flexibility to flip calls on demand without seeing the book. He had the highest grade of not only going through the correct read, but getting things off in the correct order. He also took the least amount of sacks, so for him to be able to do that at 18 years old, it's undoubted to me that he has the tools to do that in a few years since then. So yeah, he seemed fine. Being able to memorize a playbook will definitely be necessary in the NFL, and I can see that as a critique. But yes, he only was 18 years old at the time, so he's likely gotten better since then, and Ryan Day is a spectacular coach of quarterbacks, and I guarantee you he was on Justin about that. The last critique on him is probably the stigma surrounding Ohio State quarterbacks themselves, as they are known to flame out in the NFL, and I know when I talk to my friends individually, everyone seems to say the exact same thing, like, I don't want Justin Fields on my team, because Ohio State guys are always bust. That's just a narrative that always surrounds it, and I actually made a video last about Ohio State quarterbacks and if they bust in the NFL, so be sure to check that out, as I'll leave a link down in the description. Dwayne Haskins is a recent example, and guys like Troy Smith, Terrell Pryor, and Cardell Jones also come to mind, as none of those guys so far have had good NFL careers, besides a one good year at wide receiver for Pryor with the Browns. Overall, I think Fields is the 3rd best quarterback in this year's draft class. I think he's being judged a little bit too much. I really like Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones ahead of him, but Fields showed a lot of character as he got hit really hard by linebacker James Skalski and had his ribs practically hurt, but he still stayed in the game and played spectacular and chewed up the Clemson Tigers. He also wanted to play very badly as he started the We Want to Play movement over the past summer, showing that he really does care, and this does mean a lot to him, and that he can work hard. Plus the fact he's a great leader, and that is what I want to see in an NFL quarterback. So yeah, do I think Justin Fields is the number 1 overall pick? Do I think he's the next great NFL quarterback? Probably not, but I think he's a solid player. I think he'll be a good starter in the NFL, and all the critiques of him I think are unfair, and he'll likely prove people wrong. I definitely hope he battles this neurological disorder and succeeds in the NFL. I believe this will add a chip to his shoulder and a fire to his soul, and I expect him to show out next year. But what do you guys think? What do you think of Justin Fields' draft stock? How do you think this will affect him? And who's your favorite quarterback in the 2021 NFL draft class? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Hit that like button to support what I'm doing here on YouTube. Subscribe if you have not already. And check out my video about Ohio State quarterbacks and if they are a bust factory. Hope to see you guys again soon. But until next time, peace.